新的神，新的事将要成就，新的恩典，新的盼望。我们要唱新歌，充满神的荣耀。
Now's the time of the message.
今天信息开始之前，仍然照例要跟各位讲一个笑话，轻松一下。
And as always, I want to share with you a joke first to help you relax a little more.
这个老婆平日在家持家很辛苦。
Being a mother, a wife, is actually very difficult.
难得一天呢，这些闺蜜们呢就约着老婆出去打麻将。
And one day, this particular wife was invited by her friends to go and play mahjong.
结果到了半夜才回家。
And she came home late into the night.
老婆呢很怕换衣服的时候会吵到老公。
And so she was very afraid of waking up her husband as she's changing out of her clothes.
所以她就在客厅呢把衣服脱了。
So in the living room, she changed out of her clothes and she took off her clothes.
然后才轻轻地走进卧室。
And she tiptoed into the bedroom.
但是呢，这个老公呢，这个时候还是被惊醒了。
But the husband was actually still awake.
他看到老婆就大吃一惊地说
And when he saw his wife, he blurted out,
哇塞，你们打得多大啊
How high did you wager in your mahjong game?
怎么输成这个样子好，我们起来宣告
So let's all declare,
我是有价值的
I am lovable.
我是可爱的有接纳的有饶恕的我是有能力的我是祝福的因为他是我的牧者我并不是缺乏神若帮助我们谁能提到我们呢我靠着那加给我力量的我凡事都能做让我们举起手来再宣告一次请我是有价值的我是可爱的我是被接纳的我是被饶恕的我是有能力的我是主的耶和华是我的牧者我并不是缺乏神若帮助我们谁能提上凡事都能做愿上帝的应许
And may God's promise
成就在以信心相信应许的人身
be
上。
fulfilled in everybody who believes in his promise.
今天是父亲节，
Today is Father's Day.
还是要祝福普天下的父亲们
And we-
节日快乐。
We want to bless the fathers and say to you, Happy Father's Day.
曾经有一个周刊在父亲节前曾经对这些年轻的孩子做了一个调查。
There was a certain survey done with children before Father's Day.
他说，如果你可以选择，你希望有一个什么样的父亲？
And they gave them a bunch of options to choose from in terms of what kind of father they would want, ideally.
这个选项包括负责的、爱家的这个
A responsible father,
不
a
缺
loving
席的
father,
是有信仰的
a
等等。
non-absent father, a devout father.
结果出来了以后呢，没想到90%的选的是什么？
And little did the researchers find that 90% of the answers were
他们选择的是有钱的。
that the children chose that they wanted a rich dad.
让我们今天下面做老爸的听到真的有点无奈
Now we hear this, and as dads, we fail miserably in this area, don't we?
但是如果从一个父亲的角度，我们希望我们成为什么样的父亲呢？
Now, switching to a father's perspective, from a father's perspective, what kind of dad would we want to be?
有人说，父亲是男人最尊贵的名字。
Some people say that the word father is a man's most
我不
distinguished
知道
name.
你同意吗？
I don't know if you agree with that.
也有人说，父亲是男人最可怜的名字，
Others say father is the most miserable name for a man.
因为圣经说我们要流汗满面才得糊口，
Because it says in scripture, by the sweat of your brow you will work the land.
而且做到什么时候大家知道吗？
Until when?
做到你归了土。
Until you return to dust.
所以男人不容易，
So being a man is not easy.
有很多来自世界的压力。
There's a lot of pressure from the world.
圣经中居然还有咒诅，
There's curses from scripture as well.
要汗流满面才能够糊口。
And by the sweat of your brow you work.
所以弟兄都不喜欢当父亲。
So because of these things, world pressure and curses of the Bible, a lot of men don't like to be fathers.
因此，根据另外一份专门针对父亲的调查，就发现了，
And based on a survey done with fathers, we noticed something akin to this.
父亲的压力生活很大，
There's a lot of stress in being a dad.
钱赚的不够多，
They're not earning enough money.
工作压力很大，
There's a lot of stress at work.
而且还不能够了解孩子的心理世界。
And they don't understand well the inner world of their children.
所以90%左右的父亲都认为，这个父亲呢是生活中间、是人生中间最难怎么说？最难活好的最难扮演好的这么一个角色。
And so 90% of the surveyed men believe that being a good father is the most difficult thing to do well.
其实圣经原本这个父亲的形象是非常尊贵的。
In fact, this whole idea of father is one of the most honorable things in Scripture.
因为上帝就是以父亲的形象在人的面前。
Because all throughout the sacred story, God revealed himself as Father.
在旧约的时代，上帝不断地告诉以色列百姓，他是以父亲的爱在爱他们。
In the Old Testament, he told his people, I love you as a father
我们来
loves.
看一段圣经，
Let's see a verse.
他说：“父亲怎样连续他的儿女，
And how a father shows mercy to his children.
耶和华也要怎样连续敬畏他的人。”
The Lord also shows compassion to
可见
those who fear him.
可见这个父亲的形象是带着上帝的尊荣，
So being a father carries the honor of God.
因为父亲怎么样，耶和华就怎么样。
Because how a father is supposed to be is how God the Father
今天
is.
是父亲节主日，
And so today is Father's Day.
所以要跟各位分享的一个主题叫做新时代酷老爸。
So I want to share with you today the topic of the current age, how to be a cool dad.
希望我们这些做父亲的可以学一学在21世纪怎么样做一个基督徒好父亲，
And so I hope to help you understand how to be a cool Christian dad in the 21st century.
能够活出那种上帝的尊荣。
To live out this honor of God the Father.
记得上个礼拜跟大家分享过，在五旬节的时候，也就是以色列人被带到出埃及之后的50天。
If you guys remember, last week I shared about Pentecost, how it's the 50th day after Israel was taken from Egypt.
农作物熟了，
And after that, the harvest was growing.
他们就献给神，感谢神。
And so they devout their first fruits, their first crops to the Lord on Pentecost.
这时候，上帝就好像父亲一样在天上看着他们，
And as a father would, God looks at his children.
他看到他们孩子终于怎么样，终于可以自立了，非常的欣慰，
And he sees that his children are growing and they're happy
因为他们通过了第一关考验。
because they've been through that first test out of Egypt.
接着，上帝希望他们成长，
And now God, as Father, is trying to help them grow up.
所以就颁布了律法给他们，
And so he gives them laws and rules to live by.
让他们学习守规矩，
And helping them learn how to live by discipline.
并且上帝为他们征战得胜，
And helping them learn how to fight and be victorious.
让他们在环境中间操练信心去依靠神，
And to develop their faith and reliance in God in their environment.
也一路组织训练他们，最终建立一个强盛的国家。
And as he's living and walking with them, he helps them build a temple and a city.
可是很不幸的，最后以色列人还是失败了。
But over all of this fatherhood, still Israel failed.
在主前500多年的时候，终于面对了国破家亡的悲惨命运。
And after 500 years, they experienced the ruin of their country and being ruled by another empire.
旧约也到此结束了，
And as the Old Testament comes to a close,
所以我们就回顾这一段历史，我们很想发现，就以色列人是怎么失败的。
we want to look and review Israel's history and see how did they fail so miserably under the fatherhood of God.
结果我们就发现了一个原因，原来是跟父亲有关系。
And as we look closely, we understand they failed as a country, as a nation, because they failed in their families.
因为在旧约结束的时候，他所说的最后一句话是跟父亲有关系的。
Because in the very last part of the Old Testament, God speaks to his people and he speaks to the fathers.
我们来看这一段圣经，
Let's look at this passage
在马拉基书，
in Malachi.
他说：“ 耶和华大而可畏的日子来到以前，我必差遣先知以利亚到你们那里去。
And he says, in this last age, I'm going to send Elijah.
我必使父亲的心转向儿女，儿女的心转向父亲，
To turn the hearts of the fathers to their
免得我
children.
来咒诅遍全
And
地。
to turn the hearts of the children back to their fathers, or else I will come and strike the land with a curse.
这一段圣经是在经过旧约1000多年之后，那旧约的最后一卷经文。
Through 1,000 years of Old Testament history, this is the final passage, the final words of God given to Israel.
是圣经39卷旧约的最后一章的最后一节。
Through 39 books of Old Testament, this is the last chapter, the last verse.
意思就是，神说完这句话，他就不再说话了。
And what God is saying is, this is the last thing I'm going to tell my people, and I'm not going to say anything else. I'm going to be silent.
好像在微信里面把我们拉黑掉一样。
It's, like in WeChat, when you pull the black screen over the conversation.
而且这一屏蔽是多久？就是400年。
And after those words, God was silent for 400 years.
亲爱的弟兄姐妹，
Beloved ladies and gentlemen,
神要借着他最后的一句话，到底要提醒我们什么？
what is God trying to tell us through these last words he told Israel?
原来以色列过去的失败是跟父亲有关系的，是因为家庭的失败。
What he wants to show us is Israel failed as a nation throughout this millennium because the fathers failed their families.
家庭的失败就是因为父亲没有做好，
The families failed because the fathers failed.
因为父亲是家里的头。
Because fathers are the heads of the families.
我们来看看旧约，
So let's look at this Old Testament history.
旧约里面的父亲，我们发现没有值得大大颂扬的。
If you look throughout all of Israel's Old Testament history, you'll find no worthy father.
可能他们是金钱的人，
Maybe they've been successful fathers.
可能是他们被神使用的人，
Maybe they've been chosen by God.
可是在他们的家庭里面都不称职。
Maybe they've been godly men, but they have never been successful fathers.
我们讲以利、撒母耳，
I'm going to show you an example, a pair of fathers, Eli and Samuel.
他们是被神大大使用的人，
They were both used mightily by God,
他们也各有2个儿子准备接班。
and both of them had 2 sons.
但由于以利跟撒母耳的溺爱跟纵容，
But because of how they spoiled their children and how they neglected their children,
结果把这2个孩子，这2个孩子把他们变成了恶名昭彰的官2代。
their children eventually became an evil generation.
圣经记载，神怎么跟以利说的呢？
Do you remember what God spoke to Eli?
你尊重你的儿子，过于尊重我。
You honor your children more than you honor me.
所以最后他们2个儿子犯罪了，被神击杀了。
And eventually those sons sinned heavily, and then they were killed.
我们再看以撒跟亚伯拉罕，
Let's look at another pair of fathers, Abraham and Isaac.
他们在家也是没有担当的，
They too were bad role models.
他们没有给孩子做好榜样。
They were not good role models to their own children.
你看有一次亚伯拉罕躲避自己的祸患，
Abraham was trying to protect himself from conflict.
他跟埃及的法老王说：“她是我的妹妹，不是我的太太。”
So he told Pharaoh that Sarai is his sister, not his wife.
差一点要把他的太太变成了什么？变成法老王宫的类似。
And he risked his wife's life unto the point of her possibly becoming Pharaoh's new wife.
所以他们没有在孩子面前有好的榜样。
So Abraham and Isaac were not good role models to their sons in regards to in their marriage.
我们再看看大卫跟所罗门，
Now let's look at another pair of fathers,
这家也
David and
是一样
Solomon.
这家也是一样。
Same thing.
虽然他们已经是一国之君了，
Even though they're kings of Israel,
但是他们在家里面也是不称职的父亲，
but they weren't good fathers at home
因为他们没有用圣洁尊贵守住自己的身体。
because they did not honor a holy life in their own lives.
因为神已经定规了，以色列的王不能多积金银，也不能够多立嫔妃。
Because God had already commanded to the kings, you must be husbands of one wife, and you must not rely.
collect too much money,
on too much wealth and
too
power.
much wealth, too much properties. 所以呢，我们来看看这个所罗门呢，不但呢为自己多立嫔妃，
And let's look at Solomon. He acquires so much wealth
你知道他立了多少位啊？
and so many wives.
1000位，
And he had
1000个老婆。
1,000 women in his life.
因为圣经说他有妃700，
Because he had 700 wives
就嫔嫔300，
and 300 concubines.
所以他有1000个老婆，
So he had 3 women a day.
还没有包括那些很多的小主。
And not counting all of the other groups of women he was with.
所以这个国家能不灭亡吗？
So how ridiculous and terrible this king was.
所以在这个旧约结束以前，神才说了这样语重心长的话。
And so that's why God spoke to Israel with such grave words.
他的意思说：“我的儿啊，
He was saying, my people,
你们这些做父亲的，
those of you who are fathers,
你们的心要回转过来啊！
your hearts must return to your
如果
families.
家庭不复兴，
Because if your families do not
男
revive,
人不复兴，
if your men do not revive,
当年的咒诅仍然要临到这个世界。
the curse you've been receiving will continue on in your land.
好多年前，
Many years ago,
美国有一本书
there was a book written.
叫做《没有父亲的美国》。
It was entitled Fatherless America.
他说今天晚上
And he said, on this evening,
有40%的儿女睡觉的时候，他们的父亲是不在的。
40% of children will go to bed tonight without a father.
美国的社会超过38%的家庭都是由女人在抚养孩子长大的。
And 38% of the families are being raised by single mothers.
所以他说，美国已经到了一个无父的时代了。
And so the author said, America has thus become a fatherless generation.
因为父亲的缺席，以至于母亲的非常的辛苦。
Because of the absence of good fathers, mothers are having a difficult time.
所以真的做父亲的，借着这个父亲节，我们真的要悔改。
So those of you that are fathers, we really need to get our act up.
当然，我就是排那第一位的，
And I am number 1 in that
因
list.
因为我就是一位曾经缺席的父亲，
Because I was such an absent father for my family.
甚至连我儿子、我女儿两次出生的那一天，我都不在身边。
Even when my daughter and then my son were born, both births, I was not there.
更别说我能够陪着他们成长。
And more than that, I was not there as they grew up.
我记得我儿子慢慢长大，大概4、5岁的时候，
I remember when my son was growing up to about 3 or 4 years old,
有一次我带我太太去欧洲，
I took my wife to Europe,
大概就10天左右。
about 10 days trip.
我回来的时候，我看到我儿子的脸上
When I came back, I saw an expression on my son's face.
那种激动，那种在亲情里面又失去了又得到了那种复杂的那种喜乐的表情。
That excitement mixed with confusion because of a separation from his parents and then a reunion with
我
his
一辈子
parents.
都很难忘。
And I could never forget that.
我记得他见到我以后所说的第一句话是说：“你们怎么去了那么久？”
I remember the first thing he said was, "Why were you guys gone for so long?"
我说 ：“No， 我们只去了10天呐。”
And I said, "No, we were only gone for 10 days."
他说 ：“No， 你们去了10年呐。”
And he said, "No, you guys were gone for 10 years."
原来在孩子的心中，这么如此短短的10天的分开，在他们心里面造成的是这么大的冲击。
How remarkable that for a child, such a short duration of separation is actually a very long time for them.
如果是一个长期的缺席，你知道在他们的心里面造成的伤害有多大吗？
How much more the damage incurred on a child when our separation from them is so much longer.
后来因为工作的关系，我就仍然有一个人到中国去了。
And so, going to China because of business and work,
我这一去就去了15年。
I was gone for 15 years.
那时候我的儿子已经长大了，
And my son grew up into an adult.
他已经不理我了，
And he didn't care about me.
但我的女儿还小。
And my daughter was still small.
可是结果呢？
And then,
我伤害完儿子以后，继续伤害我的女儿。
I hurt my son, and then I continued hurting my daughter.
我记得那个女儿还小的那几年，我每次要离开的，她就抱着我不断的哭。
I remember every time I needed to leave on a business trip, my daughter would hug me and hold me tightly and cry.
她说：“爸爸，你不要走，不要走，不要走。”
And she would always say, "Dad, don't go, don't go, don't go."
但是没多久，
And after a while,
有一次我回来，
one time I came back home
他跟我太太说，
and she told my wife,
他回来干嘛？
why did Dad come back?
我以前需要的时候他不在，我现在不需要他了。
When I needed him, he wasn't here. Now that he's here, I don't need him.
所以我每年到这个父亲节的时候，
So all the time when it comes to Father's Day,
我都很怕过节，
I feel very uneasy,
因为我里面有真的是太多的亏欠，
because I have this heart full of regret.
我真的很希望弥补他们，
And I wish to avoid this painful day.
可是他们不接受
But they don't
accept it。
accept. I want to reconcile, but they don't accept it.
直到了这2年，
And now these 2 years finally,
儿子女儿都已经有自己幸福的婚姻了，
my daughter and son have their own healthy marriages,
我们的关系才慢慢好一些。
and our relationship is getting a little better.
我想这是神给我一辈子的功课吧。
And I believe that this is a lesson of God to me.
有一本杂志曾经做过这样的统计，
There is a survey statistic that says
美国的父亲每一天跟孩子分享这说话的时间不超过5分钟。
the statistic said that an average father will spend no more than 5 minutes talking with their children.
当孩子要再说多一点的时候，父亲们最常说的一句话是什么？大家知道吗？
When the children want to spend more time talking with their fathers, what is the one statement most spoken by fathers?
去问你妈去。
Go ask mom.
所以文章最后做了一个结论：
So the statistic ended with this conclusion.
任何男人都可以成为一个父亲，
Any man can be a father,
但是一个好爸爸需要付出更多。
but it is more difficult to be a good dad.
可是当我们醒悟过来的时候，孩子已经长大了。
But when we realize this, it might be too late, right?
亲爱的弟兄姐妹，
So beloved ladies and gentlemen,
所以今天我第一点要说的是，
the first thing
在这个新时代的一个基督徒的好父亲，首先要做到的是，就是要成为一个省察自己的人。
that in this new age, this new century, to be a great father, be a great dad, we must first examine ourselves
以至于我们可以早点醒悟过来。
so that we can change ourselves the sooner.
我知道讨论父亲的这个话题，我是没有资格的，
I know that I don't have much authority in speaking on this topic of being a good dad
因为我就不是一个好父亲。
because I wasn't a good dad.
但是我们的神很幽默，
But God is so interesting.
他就是要我说，
He wanted me to talk about this topic
因为今天根本不应该是我在讲道的，
because it shouldn't be me speaking on this day.
但是神硬叫我来讲道，
But God forced me to speak on this day
因为他在里牧师出去了。
because Dr. Lee is gone in another country.
所以今天我在预备这边讲到的时候很痛苦，
So preparing this message was so hard for me.
一直到我打开那个结之后，我才感受到，
And as I was opening up my heart, I finally realized
原来上帝是要我学习面对我里面的伤痛。
that God is forcing me to process the pain of my past.
这就好像彼得3次不认主之后，
It's just like Peter having denied Christ 3 times
又一再不断的失败、背叛、食言、逃离。
and denying Jesus and failing Jesus and running away from Jesus.
但耶稣说，你回头之后可以兼顾你的弟兄。
And Jesus told him, after all of that, when you come back, strengthen your brothers.
因为只有怎么样，只有自我省察，看到我们自己软弱的人，才能够显明神复辟的能力是完全的。
Because only those who are weak, who examine and process their weakness, are able to see the complete grace of God.
人不要再听我们有多好，
People don't want to see how good we are.
我们有多成功。
They're not interested in how successful we are.
彼得当年回头的时候，他有什么呢？
When Peter finally came back and helped his brothers, what did he have?
他甚至是羞愧，
He had shame.
他甚至是后悔。
He had regret.
但神说，你的失败可以兼顾你的弟兄，
But what God was telling him was, your failure can be someone else's blessing.
因为有谁不软弱的？
Because who is not weak?
所以新时代的好父亲是一个自我省察的人。
So to be a good father in this day and age requires that you examine yourself.
在子女的面前，我们不需要高高在上，
In front of our kids, we don't need to put ourselves on a high pedestal.
我们不需要表现我们很崇高的样子。
We don't need to make ourselves look like we're all that and the big boss.
我们可以跟他分享我们的软弱。
You know what we need to do? We need to share with them our weaknesses.
我们考试的时候也曾经作弊。
We got to come down to the level and tell them, hey, we cheated on tests.
我也曾经说谎。
We've lied with our mouths.
所以我们面对试探的时候也会跌倒。
And when we've met challenges, we failed.
但我们有耶稣，
But we have Jesus now.
以至于我们可以重新再一次站起来，
That's why we have the second chance to stand up.
这样就能够造就他们了。
And that will help them.
否则，当他们跌倒的时候，他们不会跟你说。
Otherwise, if you don't share that kind of vulnerability, your kids, when they fall, they'll never share with
所
you.
以，我们真的不需要在孩子面前保持的那种完美的形象。
So we don't need to present a perfect face in front of our kids.
当我们更真实的时候，我们就拉近了彼此的距离。
When we're more vulnerable with our kids, we bridge the gap.
我很后悔，在过去的我的这一生里面，我太多去追求那世界的荣耀。
I really regret having pursued worldly passions all these years,
以至于在孩子成长的过程中间，我缺席了。
having neglected my children in the meantime.
追求属世的荣耀，必要失去属灵的生命。
Those who pursue worldly gains will lose their spiritual lives.
这个道理我今天明白了。
And now I understand this principle.
其实属灵生命是我们留给儿女们那最宝贵的产业。
In fact, the spiritual life is the greatest blessing a father can leave for their children.
绝对不是洋房汽车，
It is not a muscle car or a great house,
跟你那数不尽的存款。
or it's some material inheritance.
所以第二点，新世代的好爸爸一定是一个怎么样？是一个祝福儿女的人。
So my next point is this. A good father is a father that blesses his children.
特别是祝福他们什么？祝福他们那属天的福气。
Blessing them in what? Blessing them in their spiritual lives, their spiritual inheritance.
马可·吐温在14岁的时候说了一句非常幽默的话。
Mark Twain said a humorous line once.
他说：“我14岁的时候，我父亲很无知。
He said, when I was 14 years old, my father was ignorant and lousy.
当我21岁的时候，我很惊讶我父亲的进步。
But when I was 21 years old, curiously, I saw my father make great progress.
亲爱的弟兄姐妹，
Beloved ladies and gentlemen,
是他爸爸的进步呢，还是马可·吐温长大了？
was it that his father made progress, or was it that Mark Twain matured?
各位爸爸妈妈，
So ladies and gentlemen,
时
fathers
间
and
过得
mothers,
真的很快，
time passes quickly.
儿女马上就长大了。
Kids grow up fast.
问题是那个7年，我们能够给他什么呢？
And in those 7 years, what are you going to give them?
也许你今天面对的孩子是第一个7年，
Maybe the children you have in your lives are their first 7 years.
也许是第二个7年。
Maybe it's their second 7 years of life.
但要请记得，
But remember this.
作为基督徒的父母亲是神手中的器皿。
Being a father and a Christian is a call of God in your life.
神的器皿最重要的使命就是倾倒神的祝福。
And God's call in your life as a Christian father is for you to pour blessings into your children,
特别是倾倒在你儿女身上的祝福，
especially blessings in your children's spiritual lives.
因为儿女是谁的产业？是神的产业。
Because who do children belong to? To God.
所以我们要一门心思，要照着上帝的方式来祝福他们，不是我们的方式。
So when we raise them up, we need to raise them up according to God's blessings and teachings, not according to our own words.
因为我们也要记到一点，
Because we need to remember something,
当我们儿女21岁的时候，我们要物归原主的。
that once our children are 21 years old, we need to return them back to God.
意思我们要将我们的儿女还给神，
Meaning, we need to raise them up and then give them back to God.
让他们做神的儿女，
And give them back as children of
这
God.
是父母的责任，
This is the responsibility of
也是我们
parents.
最大的荣耀。
And it's our greatest glory.
所以，我们再来看一节圣经
So，let's see another verse.
在以弗所书的6章第4节，
In Ephesians chapter 6,
他
verse
说
4, ：“
他说你们做父亲的，不要惹儿女的气，
it says, Fathers, do not exasperate your children.
只要照着什么？大家一起念。
Instead,
主
bring them
的
up
警戒
in the
教训
training and
养育
instruction
他们
of the Lord. ”
所以这告诉我们什么？
So what is God telling us?
这一段圣经是在新约里面让我们做父母教导孩童的一个总原则。
This is a general principle for fathers, Christian fathers in the New Testament.
意思我们要照谁？照主的警戒与教训来养育他们。
We need to raise them up according to the training and instruction of the Lord.
这叫放手的力量。
This is about letting go.
懂得放手的父亲，
Those fathers who know how to let go
放在耶稣的手上，
and let God
自然就是在这个时代最合神心意的酷老爸了。
are the coolest fathers in this day and age.
前2天 LA 的温度很高啊，
Previous 2 days, LA temperature was really high.
我在家里面开空调的时候，发现那个显示屏不显示了。
And when I turned on the thermostat, it wasn't displaying correctly.
那几天我正在努力写讲道稿，
And as I was preparing the message,
一动就是一头汗。
if I moved a little bit, I had a bucket of sweat.
最后发现了，折腾半天发现了，原来那个显示器坏了，
And I finally realized the thermostat was broken.
所以我就请太太去买了一个显示器，
So I asked my wife to buy a new thermostat.
就她买来的是个智能的，
And she bought a smart thermostat.
我要面对怎么安装了，
And I had to install it.
然后装了半天以后还是没有装好
And，after installing it for half a day, I didn't install it
所
correctly.
以我几乎要放弃了。
And I was going to give up.
但是有个年轻的弟兄跟我说，
But a young brother
不
told
用
me,
不用担心，
you don't need to worry.
你可以上 YouTube 去看那个教导你的视频。
Just go on YouTube and it'll give you instructions for you to see.
结果果然很快的就完成了，
And when I watched the YouTube video, I finished the installation very quickly.
并且提醒了我，
And then this all taught me one more time
今天这个资讯发达的时代，
that in this information explosion age,
孩子们不再需要听我们说的了，
kids no longer need to listen to the words of others.
他们要用看的，
Now they just watch what others do.
就好像我们可以看 YouTube 的视频一样。
Just as we can watch the instructions on a YouTube video.
所以最后要讲到一个榜样的问题，
So this leads us to the next very important point about modeling.
因为永远是身教是重于言教的。
Because modeling always is better than teaching.
弟兄姐妹，
So beloved ladies and gentlemen,
今天是父亲节，
today is Father's Day.
我真的要趁着今天呢，我要在主里面来劝导大家，
Today I'm pleading with everyone on this Father's Day.
我要鼓励大家，
And I want to encourage you
我们回家可以大胆的跟我们的孩子说，
that we can go back home and we can tell our kids courageously
今后你要效法我，
that you need to listen to me and follow me
好像我效法耶稣一样。
as I follow Jesus.
因为这就是今天我要讲的最后一点。
Because this is the last point I want to talk about.
新世代的好爸爸，一定是在生活中间是跟随耶稣的人，
The greatest fathers of this day and age are the fathers who follow Christ.
是活出一个好榜样的人，
The fathers who exemplify Christ.
更是在生活中间见证耶稣的人。
And they witness about Jesus Christ.
有一个作家叫做 John Dressler，
There's a author named John Dressler.
他写了一本书，
He wrote a book,
如果我可以重来，
and the book is entitled, If I Could Go Back.
意思就是如果我可以重新再当一次父亲，
The meaning behind the title is, If I could go back and be a father again,
我会怎么做呢？
how would I do it?
今天这个问题可能成为我们每一个人的提醒。
This title is in fact a great reminder to all of us.
因为主今天要跟你说，
Because God is speaking to you.
不要嫌迟，就是现在，
Don't worry and don't regret. The time is now.
就是现在
The time is
，Never
now.
be late。
It's never too late.
亲爱的弟兄姐妹，
So beloved ladies and gentlemen,
我要做3件事情。
today I want to tell you 3 things.
第一个，我要更爱我的妻子，
Today I'm going to love my wife more.
因为我爱我的妻子不够。
Because I don't love my wife enough.
在我们人生最精华的那段时间，孩子成长的那段时间，我缺席了。
In that most precious, malleable time of my children's lives, I wasn't there for my wife.
我让我的妻子受苦。
I let my wife suffer.
她曾经在多少个暗夜里面暗自的哭泣，
How many nights was she crying?
却没有可倾诉的对象。
Because she had no partner to support her.
我自己也没有尽到该尽的责任。
And I wasn't responsible as
在
a
家里
husband.
面创造一个充满爱的环境，
I wasn't responsibly creating a home filled with love,
以至于让孩子可以在一个不惧怕、不担心的环境中长大。
so that my kids could grow up in an environment where they don't feel fear.
我甚至回来之后，还常常跟妻子吵架，
Oftentimes I would come back home and I would argue with my wife
让孩子非常的为难。
and my kids would witness it and feel uneasy.
所以我要更爱我的妻子。
So number one, if I were going to go back, I would love my wife more.
第二点，我要说更多鼓励的话对我的孩子，
If I could go back, I would encourage my children more.
因为我是一个很吝啬说赞美人的话的人。
Because I was very frugal with my encouraging words.
很多时候，我以为我在做，
Many times I thought I was encouraging to my
其实我的
kids.
方式常常是适得其反。
But in fact, my method of encouraging was very counterproductive.
我在孩子成长的道路上面，
And as my kids were growing,
我很难得见到他们的时候，居然我打压的多，鼓励的少，
I would often criticize them and very seldomly praise them,
以至于让他们没有感受到那父亲的爱。
so that they wouldn't really feel the love of the Father.
所以我一定要说更多鼓励的话，
So I would say more encouraging words.
即使他们现在已经长大了。
And even though they're grown up now,
我第三点要做的，
the third thing I would do,
我要更接近上帝，
I would come closer to God.
因为我以前太贪爱世界，
Because I used to love the world and the wealth so much.
疏忽了在孩子中间，在他们成长的过程，没有营造一个充满爱的气氛，
To the point where I wasn't really there in a loving way for my kids.
没有一个爱主属灵的环境，
There was no loving, spiritual, loving God atmosphere in the home.
以至于我在他们的面前也没有好榜样，
And there was no healthy role modeling.
在他们的年轻的生命里面，没有给他们早早就注入那种属灵的价值观，
And they didn't have a sense of their spiritual heritage.
因为那是他们本该拥有的，
Because that is something they're supposed to have.
也是我最后悔的一件事。
And that is the thing I regret the most.
所以今后我一定要更多的亲近上帝，
So I would come closer and closer to God,
以至于我在他们的面前可以活出榜样。
so that I could be a healthy role model in front of my kids.
所以爸爸们、
So fathers,
弟兄们、
brothers,
辛苦的单亲妈妈们，
and those of you that are having the difficult lives as single mothers,
不知道如果你们能重来，
I don't know if you could go back and be a father or mother again.
有什么让你遗憾的事吗？
But what is something that you regret or that you wish you could change?
让我们趁着还有今天吧。
Let us take what time we have today.
今天是2019年的父亲节，
This is the Father's Day of 2019.
让我们都立定心志，把心回转过来，
Let us resolve to return our hearts back to our kids
以至于我们这些基督徒的父亲们，
and be the parents that we're supposed to be as Christians.
这些伟大的单亲妈妈们，
And those brave single mothers
都
out
能够
there
在这个世代做一个合神心意的酷老爸、酷老妈，
to
真的
be
祝福大
also
家。
the fathers and mothers to their own kids.
我们一起起立。
Let's all stand up.
谢谢你灿烂笑容，照亮我的天空。谢谢你分享心情，把我放在你心中。天里有时微寒冷，你我生根同暖土，友情是最亮的星，我的生命从此美丽。当悲欢不包围尽情欢喜，我待春风是你无迹中。当你正走在坎坷路，我会伴你在左右。一起向蓝天花红，向白云招手，我们要一起笑，一起哭， 你分享心情，把我放在你心中。夜里有时微寒冷，你我生根同暖土，友情是最亮的星，我的生命从此美丽。被花朵包围，紧紧欢喜，我待春风使你雾气中。当你正走在坎坷路，我会伴你在左右。气象蓝天欢呼，向白云招手，我们要一起笑一起哭。千万人中有个人懂我，你有最珍贵的被花朵包围，紧紧欢喜，我待春风使你雾气中。当你正走在坎坷路，我会伴你在左右。向蓝天欢呼，向白云招手，我们要一起笑一起哭。千万人中有个人懂我，你有最珍贵的角落。千万人中有个人懂我，你有最珍贵的角落。